Okay, welcome. I can start. All right. Okay, welcome the community in diaspora. Today is another day that we've looked forward to, where the leadership at home are willing to engage with us issues relating to the budget of 2025-2026 in the key focus to harness the investments of the Malawians that are in the diaspora. So we do know that we are all over, but we are the citizens of Malawi. And so good morning to people that are in the morning, good evening, good afternoon, and they that are a little bit deep in the night, good night. But we welcome every one of you to this interface. So the interface is privileged that is hosting 4 different ministries with the key ministers of Minister of Finance, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Lands, and also Ministry of Trade and Industry. So we have to be privileged that they have taken time aside just to engage with the citizens that are yet far, but they are close to home. What they want to emphasize on today is to elaborate and clarify a few things that relate to the post-budget issues and how the diaspora community can invest in the country back home in the growth of our economy. And we love it that we are Malawians, although we may look far, but we are part of any engagement that may be. And we want to appreciate the leadership that it wants to engage with us, that even if we are across the borders, but they want us to be close to home. We can all appreciate that we do participate in the engagement of development, be at family level, business, and even other related expertise. We are part of Malawi, and what has been planned for the next 12 months, we need to be part of it actively. So we appreciate. So today, we're going to engage for a good 2 hours with these different ministries. But I just want to welcome every one of you. And as we continue, we really want to have you eager to what the ministers would say, and also being clear in the things that you'd want clarification from them. So before we start everything, I just want to let you know that currently we do have the 4 ministers that we are expecting to be with us. We have Honorable Simplex Chithyola, Minister of Finance, Honorable Sam Kawale, Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Deus Gumba, Minister of Lands, and Honorable Engineer Vitumbiko Mumba, Minister of Trade and Industry. So we will also be having the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, who will engage us in introducing these ministries formally. So with all protocols observed, I want you to be active, and I want us to anticipate the best we can get from them and the best we can give to our country. So we'll rather first of all ask Dyson Chikolera to open up with a word of prayer. Dyson. Is Dyson? Okay, to proceed, can I ask Lloyd Mahowe to open up with a prayer?
Okay, let's pray. Father, we want to say thank you for this time that you've set apart, that as Malawians in diaspora, we can come together this afternoon to interact with our officials back home, our leaders, Jehovah, just to look at issues pertaining to our country. It's my prayer that this engagement will be productive, and Father, that you will lead all the discussions that will be happening here for the glory of your name. We thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Lloyd Mahowe. Once again, welcome every one of us. And just to highlight that as we see the importance of the meeting, we will have this meeting recorded. So if you have joined, just know that you can later be in a position to get the information, or for them that have missed, they'll be able to get back to the information that we will record over the time that we are here. So we will have to ask Dr. Dalitso Sulamoyo, who is my co-host. I'm Dr. Msusa, Master of Ceremonies of this meeting. I'm coming from Malawi, but I'm residing in Namibia. My co-host will be Dr. Sulamoyo, who is also a Malawian, but residing in USA. So he will take us from now on just to elaborate a few remarks regarding housekeeping and how we have to engage the meeting. Dalitso.
Okay, good day, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Msusa, for the introduction. Again, this is a webinar format, and so this is really intended for us to maximize the opportunity for the ministers to present the relevant information that pertains to the ministries. They will each have about 30 minutes, as has been indicated, which will also include them fielding questions. Some questions have been sent to them in advance, and so I believe as part of their presentations, they'll probably tackle those questions. But then we'll also be taking questions from the attendees, and those will be submitted through the chat function of the Zoom platform. We're going to try to keep to the time, but this is intended to be an engagement of the diaspora. So as much information or questions that we can present to the ministers, I think the better off we're going to be as diasporans in Malawian diasporans. So we're looking forward to this engagement. I'm not sure if the Honorable Patricia Nangozo Kayenga has joined us yet, because she is the one that's to introduce the ministers formally to this interface. Do we know if she's on?
Not yet.
So should we proceed?
Yes.
Is the Honorable Minister of Finance on yet?
You can just go to the agriculture, then he can introduce all the ministers.
Okay, so it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce our Minister of Agriculture, my namesake, the Honorable Sam Dalitso Kawale. Honorable Minister, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Doctor, and thank you very much all the hosts in the diaspora, and a very big and warm greeting to everyone in the diaspora. This must be maybe the third time I am engaging our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and every time I'm given this opportunity, I never say no, because it also gives me an opportunity to learn one or two things that can benefit the country. And this evening, we are here to share with those in the diaspora what is in the budget, particularly to do with the Ministry of Agriculture. But we're also going to go outside what is in the budget to discuss what is the Ministry of Agriculture doing to achieve Malawi's Vision 2063 by implementing different pillars in the 10-year implementation plans. So we are very happy that the Ministry of Agriculture has been given this prominent role to spearhead the economic development of the country. That's why the Minister of Finance has been allocating different financing opportunities for us to implement everything very well. But everything that has been provided to us is in the context of the vision that the president has, and that is to commercialize agriculture. We want to move away from subsistence farming to commercial farming, where we are producing more than what we can consume, with the goal of ending hunger, having families have enough revenue, but at the same time surplus, which can be used for value addition for export purposes. So there's import substitution as well as forex generation once we do the value addition. That's why this year we've been given a lot more money for us to achieve what we have been tasked to do. And as we are implementing all these things, you are going to see that most of the money given to us in the Ministry of Agriculture is to transition farming households from subsistence farming to commercial farming. Now, subsistence farming has been well understood in the context of subsidies. There's a lot of debate out there on whether subsidies are good, subsidies are bad, but the truth is subsidies are good if you channel them to the right entities or right investments for us to achieve what we want to do. Now, in the context of Malawi, the subsidies that we've been implementing, they have been more of a social safety net to help families to have enough food during the year. But we've noticed that just having families have enough food for them to eat never develop. That's why what we are saying is, can we help these households to transition from just subsistence farming to commercial farming? Because most of those households that are in the subsistence farming, they have an ability to go into commercial farming. That's why in the agriculture implementation plan, the reforms that we are currently undertaking, we are transitioning family households by moving them from affordable input program, the subsidies, going to commercial farming, but in stages. A lot of people have been asking us, can you just close AIP and take all the money and put it in the commercial farming? What we've been saying is that might not be a very good idea, because if you just take all the money and put it in the commercial farming, what are you going to do for those who were depending on the 2 bags of fertilizer? So that's why we are transitioning them. We're not just stopping subsidies, but we are transitioning people slowly until they embrace commercial farming. That's why in the agriculture reforms that we are currently implementing, the first level of production is the social safety net under the affordable input program. And then we are transitioning them into commercial farming using one program, which is the National Economic Empowerment Fund Farm Input Loan. Now, this is a low interest loan that is provided to the farming households so that they can get a little bit more fertilizer apart from 2 bags of fertilizer for them to produce. Then they can get a little bit more once they are adding more land or once they're going to irrigation. And then after that, they transitioned to agriculture commercialization program, which is now taking people from subsidies to commercial farming, and then the entry level of mechanization and value addition. We will talk a little bit more about that. And then after the agriculture commercialization, then the end game for us is to have mega farms in the country. But we just can't drop people in the code and then just focus on the commercial farming and mega farms. We need to transition people in that direction. And in fulfillment of the reforms that we are implementing in the Ministry of Agriculture, this year, when we discussed with the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Finance, we also informed them that we can never end hunger in Malawi by focusing only on rain-fed agriculture. We are one of the very few countries that are so blessed with a lot of water, rivers, streams, wetlands, and lakes. Can you give us more money for us to invest in irrigation? Our goal is to have most of our farmers in Malawi produce 2 or 3 times a year, because we can manage to do that. And once we produce 2 to 3 times a year, then we'll manage to have enough food in the country. So the Minister of Agriculture, after discussing with the Minister of Finance, a few things have been given. I will summarize the funding that has been given to us. First of all, we have 99.5 billion kwacha, which is going towards irrigation development. Irrigation is for 2 reasons. One, to mitigate against the impact of dry spells. If you have irrigation facilities in your farm, then if there's a dry spell, you can use it for supplementary irrigation so that your crops don't get affected. And secondly, after harvesting during the rain fed, then you can go into the first or the second cycle of irrigation. So 99.5 billion kwacha has been allocated to that. And we're looking at close to 6,000 hectares additional irrigation infrastructure that will be funded by this amount of money. So apart from just the new areas for hectareage, we also rehabilitate about 9,000 hectares that were damaged by cyclones and other things. And if we factor in everything, then we should manage to irrigate an additional about 56,000 hectares that can be under irrigation, which if we do a good job, we should harvest over 200,000 metric tons of crops in the country. Apart from that, we've been given 38.3 billion kwacha, which will go to the Mega Farm Support Unit to assist those who have 20 hectares and above to go into commercial production. Then we also have the National Economic Empowerment Fund. There's an additional 70 billion kwacha to help farmers transition from AIP going to commercial farming. So 70 billion kwacha allocated towards NIF, then 53 billion kwacha towards 38.3 billion kwacha to Mega Farm, and 99.5 billion kwacha that is going to go towards irrigation in this country. But for those who are the smallholder farmers, this year we still have 131 billion kwacha given towards AIP as we're transitioning people to commercial farming. But as we are doing all these investments, remember our goal is commercial farming, and commercial farming is not just going to be on rain-fed. We're investing heavily in irrigation, even having some of the beneficiaries under AIP even going towards irrigation, because most of the villages have wetlands and water sources that they can use for irrigation. So in summary, these are some of the money that has been put in the budget strictly for production, irrigation, mega farms, affordable input program, and NIM farm input loans. And then on top of that, don't forget, we also have that close to 600 billion kwacha. That is agriculture commercialization. That is to help us with commercial farming, mechanization, and value addition. So if you add everything, we're already over 1 trillion kwacha that is in the agriculture sector to help us to boost productivity, commercialization, mechanization, value addition, so that we can end hunger, have enough money in the homes, as well as improve exports for forex generation. So that could be my intro to what the budget is all about, and just a little bit of a synopsis of what we want to achieve this year in the agriculture sector.
Thank you so much, Honorable. It sort of like looks to be a four-pronged approach, you know, transitioning from subsistence farming in terms of livelihoods from household level, and also engaging such that people should have a mindset change to commercializing. So we have what we have to feed, and we have to get to what we can also sell. And you also given us an outline of us to transition from being rain-fed dependence, and that we can engage. And there's quite an amount of money put into irrigation there, and then with quite some high targets that you've given us, either in rehabilitation of land that can be utilized for irrigation, or them that can go into commercial farming, even at look of mega farms. So obviously, you know, people in the diaspora have sent a couple of questions in terms of, you know, what structure they, and they do have a few things that they need clarity. Maybe
Sure.
this point in time, I can bring in 1 or 2 or 3 questions regarding what was sent earlier to you, and there is quite a couple of questions that are within the Q&A. So first one was like, we all know that Malawi remaining an agriculture-based economy, we know that export of these products that we can potentially use to support trade balance. However, it has been evident that to get a license of food export for common Malawians has been a challenge. What measures are there or have been put in government to promote export of produces like groundnuts, sweet nuts, soybeans, rice, and other agri-products, just to mention a few? I think people also mentioned sweet potato. I think we're number 3rd producing country in the world. And as diaspora, how much market are we able to identify for the same? So it's sort of like a synergy. People in the diaspora, what is it that they can bring through the government to the government in identifying trade areas, and how can people easily get exports? So I'll just give you about 3 or 4 questions. So that's the first one. And the other one is that despite being an agriculture economy, Malawi still faces food insecurity. What is being done to ensure long-term food sustainability? I think those you have elaborated in the prongs that you have given us in terms of what you've mentioned. The other question was in regard to AIP. It has been criticized for inefficiency, and what reforms are in place to improve it? I think that you've also elaborated that you're looking more at reform and also transitioning to NIF and short loans at household. But the third and the fourth questions, maybe you may answer with the first one. Is commercial farming is still underdeveloped. What is your ministry doing to promote large-scale agribusiness? And the other one, it says, reliance to rain-fed agriculture makes Malawi vulnerable to climate change. What plans are there and in place to promote irrigation? I think that one you've answered, but maybe you can elaborate on the first one.
Okay, great. So the first question, I would like to say that one is definitely under Ministry of Trade, because it has to do with the issues of exports. But what I'm going to respond is based on what we do as the Ministry of Agriculture to work hand in hand with the Ministry of Trade, who are the ones who give licenses for exports. So the licenses that we issue in Malawi are mostly the domestic one, or we issue permits that goes to the Ministry of Trade, who actually do the final issuance of export licenses. But for Ministry of Trade to issue the license, they look for markets. And once they find the markets, they come and tell us in the Ministry of Agriculture to say, we have a market in this country, these are the quantities. Let me be a little bit more practical. 2 years ago, I was in China, where we went to discuss with the Chinese government. They were looking for 4 value chains: soybeans, groundnuts, macadamia, as well as fish and chili. So when they gave us an order, they said, we are looking for indefinite supply of soybeans, which means every inch of this country we can grow soybeans, and China is going to take all of it. That's how much soybeans that they need. So when we went, we came back and they say, for you to be exporting to Malawi, you need to meet these conditions. We call them phytosanitary conditions in terms of how dry it's supposed to be, the warehousing, the packaging, the shipping, and so on. And once we met those conditions, we started exporting to China. But for us as Minister of Agriculture, our role is production. Once we do production, we hand over to Minister of Trade. At the moment, we have indefinite order for soybeans to China. We need Malawians to produce because we're not there yet. We have an indefinite order for Nandolo to India. We are not able to meet those requirements, indefinite. We have huge orders for groundnuts. Even within the region of Africa, we are not able to meet that demand. So we have a whole list of value chains that are needed. But the biggest problem we have is we are still producing these under subsistence farming. There's no way we can meet the demand if we continue to do subsistence farming as a goal to achieve exports in the country. So the Ministry of Trade, they always come in to take over once we produce. Our role is to produce, their role is to issue the exports so that everyone who needs to be involved in the agriculture sector is properly assisted. There was a question of affordable input program being criticized for inefficiencies. When it comes to issues of inefficiencies, we've been working so hard to address those inefficiencies. Now, on our part in the Ministry of Agriculture, we do the planning months ahead. As we speak right now, we already planned for this coming year. We already know who's going to supply the fertilizer. We already know the selling points, how many beneficiaries are needed. For information, now we know all the farming households in Malawi because we have a database for that. 3.4 million beneficiaries. If we're going to choose 1 million, we're just going to take from that database and then it's done. So we already did all the preparatory work. We have the phones, we have the selling points, and everything is there. The inefficiencies, they usually come on when do we supply the fertilizer. Now, for us, as I said, we usually get the suppliers and everything in place, but we are also at the mercy of when can funding be available. And since the fertilizer comes in the country, they are supposed to pay using Forex. We might not have enough Forex in the country to pay. So that also delays. So there's some things that we are under our control, and then other things that are outside our control. And in the end, there are a little bit of delays, longer delays that happens. But everything, we work hand in hand with different stakeholders to make sure that we deliver everything on time. Sometimes the inefficiencies are also on the ground at the actual selling point. Now, at the actual selling point, there are so many stakeholders there because our role is to take fertilizer to the selling point, and then those who are taking care of the selling and so on are under different ministries. So there's Ministry of Homeland Security who provide the security, and then there's a Ministry of Local Government who take care of the chiefs and ADCs and VDC leaders who are supposed to manage the actual selling of the fertilizer. The other question has to do with commercial farming. It's still underdeveloped, and it's true. And that's why there's more money now being given towards commercial farming. As I said, there's no way we can develop this country by focusing on subsistence farming. Magasu, Zikwanje, Maforogo, those will never help us. We have to be very realistic on this one. That's why the Ministry of Agriculture has developed or has established the Mega Farm Support Unit. The Mega Farm Support Unit is looking at everything to do with commercial farming, starting with identification of a market, then identifying the source of financing, helping farmers do the business plans, how to do the crops. We do the monitoring station services, where to get the fertilizer, where to get the herbicides, and bringing in as well the tractors. And then the harvesting, bringing in combined harvesters, the value addition, the processing, all the way until we deliver. So the entire chain from beginning to the end, the Mega Farm Support Unit has been established to do exactly that. Now, you have to remember, a lot of people, they're still thinking of doing farming the Kamuzu way. Now, for me, I'm extremely grateful that Kamuzu laid a foundation for commercial farming, but it's for us to build on that foundation. That's why we don't want the government to be producing food for everyone. Then that's not capitalism. We need to make sure that people, you and I, it doesn't matter how much acreage or hectareage you have, but you're supposed to be producing to contribute towards job creation, food production, import substitution, as well as forex generation. That is the responsibility of every Malawian, not just the government. Gone are those days where government was doing everything. That's why you are going to see that developed countries, those who actually do production, are the commercial farmers. What the government does, we fix the policies, we remove bad laws, we amend bad laws, we introduce good laws so that the private sector thrives by creating an enabling environment. And if you need to bring in equipment, like what we just did last year, we gave Malawians an incentive in the agriculture sector. Then we've taken away duties and taxes on agriculture equipment. You can bring tractors, you can bring solar pumps, solar panels, irrigation equipment, anything that is in the agriculture sector is coming in duty-free. That's our role as a government, to make sure that we are creating an enabling environment. We even went a step further by talking with the Minister of Energy to say our farmers, they need fuel for their pumps. Can you give special permission for them to be buying fuel in bulk? They said yes. We went to Ministry of Energy again to say we need reduction in electricity tariffs for agriculture. They said yes. So that is our role, is to create an enabling environment so that commercial farmers are thriving in Malawi. Now, when you face problems to enter into commercial farming, you tell us, the Minister of Agriculture, then we talk to our counterparts in other ministries to say, can you remove this? Can you remove this? Can you add this? Can you add this? So that our commercial farmers are thriving. That is what we are doing in the Ministry of Agriculture to help you in the diaspora to invest as a commercial farmer. We might not be able to do everything, but we are doing this one step at a time. And with your help, with your guidance, then we can start fine-tuning these things also to make it better for you in the diaspora to invest in the agriculture sector. When it comes to issues of rain-fed, I mentioned this, but I just wanted to say we're investing heavily in irrigation. I said this, and I want to repeat. Gone are the days we are relying on rain-fed agriculture. Nowadays, we're not even talking about farming seasons. In the Ministry of Agriculture, we are putting that in the museum, that terminology. Nowadays, we're talking about farming cycles. You do the first cycle using rain-fed. Second cycle, you do irrigation. Third cycle, you do irrigation. You go back to cycle after cycle after cycle. So if someone asks me in future, the farming season, I would say I don't know anything about farming season. I want to know about farming cycles, because that's the only way we can produce more, by having more cycles in a calendar year of production.
Thank you so much for that elaborative explanation. Two key questions. I know there are some in Q&A. One pertinent question that came was to say, young people are not so much involved in farming, and you're producing all these products that people have to engage into commercial farming. What plans and what environment are you making so that the young people can engage into farming as we are thinking of it as a commercial? And the other
Sure.
thing is that there's a key question that our livestock production, farming is not as great. What modalities have been put in place regard improvement of livestock farming? Then we will switch to one or two Q&A by Dalitso, and then we'll move to the other ministry. Thanks.
Great. It's true. Well, it's true that not a lot of young people are involved in agriculture, in farming, commercial farming. But what is interesting is that over the last year, personally, I've been shocked to find out how many young people are actually going into commercial farming. So last week, on my Facebook page, I asked people to send me their stories, pictures, and videos of what they are doing in commercial farming. Now, as we speak right now, my WhatsApp number that I gave has over 300 stories of people going into commercial farming. It simply means that we have done a very good job at the Ministry of Agriculture to tell Malawians to be involved in commercial farming. Now, we just didn't want to tell people to be involved in commercial farming without providing a help for them to go into the commercial farming business. That's why we're very quick to add more money to the farm input loans underneath so that young people can access financing for their farming enterprises. Now, for the farm input loans, these are entry-level financing in the commercial farming. You can get what we call collateral-free loans that you can go into commercial farming. And then if you need a little bit more, you have at least some requirements, but they're very soft loans, 2% a month. That's what you are paying. So a lot of young people now have understood that, wait a minute, I can get access to financing and go into commercial farming, but we just didn't share the vision, provide money. We also provided a market, because that is also extremely important. That's why when young people are producing, we are linking them to markets where they can sell their products. And that's how we are working with young people to be involved in commercial farming. So there's NIF, Farm Input Loans, AgCom, which has got over 600 billion kwacha, a lot of young people already there. Now we are also working with the National Youth Council of Malawi, who together with AGRA, there's about 60 billion kwacha that is also been given to specifically the youth, women, and those with disabilities. So as a Minister of Agriculture, we are pumping in a lot of money to help young people to go into commercial farming. The issue of livestock, yes, livestock, it's a very big concern even for us. The protein consumption in Malawi is extremely low. And for us as a Minister of Agriculture, yes, we are focusing on production, but nutrition is also important. It's an area that we're focusing a lot. That's why even when it comes to consumption, in the production, we are encouraging every farmer to diversify their production so that we can produce different food for nutrition purposes. Now, meat products, livestock, we haven't done a very good job. But since 2022, we've been putting in place policies and initiatives to increase production of livestock. Mikolongwe, we used to do a lot of Mikolongwe in Malawi. Now we are bringing Mikolongwe back. We want many people to be raising Mikolongwe because they are easier to manage than what we are consuming right now. But also, we can raise them as organic free-range chicken, which is actually much healthier as well. We just finalized some markets for livestock like goats in the Middle East, and that is also going to help us because people want a market for what they're producing. So all those things have been put in place. So our goal is to make sure that we are working on improving the livestock in the country. Yeah, did I miss another question? I think there were
No,
three
that's
questions.
fine.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I mean, much of the things you have elaborated even in the presentation. For interest of time, we will transition to another ministry, and towards the end, we may try to give you one or two that are in the Q&A. Dalito, maybe you could take another ministry.
Okay, at this point, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to the audience the Honorable Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Engineer Vitumbiko Mumba, to present and then take some questions. And then we'll go to the audience. I know there's some hands that have been raised. We'll come back to you and take questions at that time. But for now, let us give the space to the Honorable Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Mumba.
Thank you so much. I'm here. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, mandiso koniza lero birthday party ya kazi yanga unde mandimenya mimba kaya.
Divine Honorable. Can we please spotlight the Honorable Minister? Thank you.
Madia?
Spotlight so everybody can see you.
Oh, what is spotlight? Okay, let me put on the video and get on. My video is off. Let me put the video on. All right. I don't know if you can see me now.
Yes, we can see you.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. Mandiba sama mafunzo ngapo baba, and I think I'll go one by one as you have about 13, 14 questions. So I'll go addressing them one by one. Is that okay?
That's okay.
That's fine, Minister. That's
All right. I'll go spin on this banga diverge into many other issues, but first of all, thank you so much for this time. I don't take it for granted. I think it's important that we engage, as my elder and my senior, Honorable Sam Kawale, as they indicated. I look forward to more engagement on not only issues to do with trade and industry, but on many issues that affect our country. So let's keep this going on. And I believe as time goes, we'll be able to reach somewhere and serve our people better. Now, there is this thing I want us to understand about trade and industry. You see, we've got many things like Buy Malawi strategy and many other things. I want to give you an example and I want to shock you. Today, after whatever I've said, I want you to walk away from this conversation with one question in your mind, with one question or one thing in your mind. I was flying from Joburg on Monday, coming this side, and I'm in Malawi Airlines. And then I asked for Malawi coffee, like Satemwa. I asked for Zuzu coffee. I asked for Chombe tea, Anadi Rooibos, Anadi Rick coffee, Anadi Jacobs. So I'm like, okay, this is our national carrier. And they don't have any tea or coffee from Malawi. They are promoting Jacobs, they are promoting Rick Coffee, they are promoting. Now, we have strategies like Malawi strategy, national export strategy, and many other things. Do we implement them? Are we implementing them? Just today, I was talking to the board chairman and the PS, the board chairman from MITC, that you had asked for the DG and the management of MITC were telling us that they want to have a Malawi investment forum by June this year. I'm saying no more investment forums. Can we evaluate how many investors, tangible investors, have we brought with the previous 4 investment forums we've had? Where did we go wrong? Or what benefit, apart from spending lots of money to host an investment forum? You know, I want you to understand the thinking we are having at the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We want to be practical than just having strategies, reviewing strategies, and all that kind of a thing without getting on the ground to do what we feel needs to be done. There are many other things which we'll be unpacking. I think next week we'll be unpacking a number of things that the vision of Dr. Chakwera as far as trade and industry is concerned, and also what we are doing to make sure that we are able to serve Malawians better and contribute to the economic development of our country. But the bottom line is we need to be real, we need to be practical, we must have tangible measurables that we can say, okay, we have done A, B, C, D, E. Now, the first question is, you talk of Malawi manufacturing sector remains underdeveloped. We are relying heavily on imports. What policies is your ministry implementing to promote industrialization and reduce trade deficits? You see, as my brother said earlier on, Malawi is an agri-based economy. Fact. The president has come up with what we're saying, the ATM strategy: agriculture, tourism, and mining. And as trade, we are cross-cutting all those 3. Now, when you're saying we are relying heavily on imports, that's correct. As at the moment, we have started something which the cabinet members, when we met, a few cabinet members we discussed and they were in agreement. By the end of this week, you see us restricting pachichewa, pachisungujo, veka, banning, restricting importation of some of the goods that we believe we can stop importing and produce them locally. They're being produced locally. All what we need is to give our local producers a cushion, a protection from international competition for some time until they are able to produce good quality products with good standards, which can force Malawians who like quality and standard stuff to buy from them and not rely on those that come from outside. So with a list of items, over 20, that we are saying, no. These things, Zoka, TNTCT, Mega, Timbabanga, Malawi, and move forward like that. There are a number of cooperatives. On Tuesday, I've been in Blantyre, visiting one cooperative at Mpemba that is producing powdered milk, the first of its kind in Malawi. Kumawan my SMEs and Tujabi cooperative upanga powdered milk. We don't have any factory in Malawi that does that. So we are saying, let's promote these people and shield them from international competition as time goes. So as to answer your question, what are we doing? Yes, we are trying to empower, because these SMEs, these cooperatives are being funded by the ministry. So we are trying to empower as much as possible cooperatives so that they are able to add value to their products. There is one in Nchinji, there's one at Twiyula in Karonga, then South Rukuru, then in Rumpi, one in Palombe, where we are putting resources and trade industry to add value to their products. And you'll be shocked, the packaging itself, the product itself, I'm like, wow, this is it. But where we have failed is to market the products. So that's how I can answer the first question. The second question, you're saying many Malawi-based people struggle with exporting their products due to bureaucracy and the logistic challenges. What steps is going to take taking to export process, taking to simplify the export process? Look, it's true, especially when it comes to logistical challenges, not bureaucracy per se. Bureaucracy, like today, after arriving from Zuzu, I went to the office. There were a number of over 30 export licenses. I've approved them, and they were applied like 3 weeks ago. Within 3 weeks, their licenses have been approved, and they got my desk on Friday. My secretary told me that, Mr. Mumba, when you come back, tomorrow I'm going to Blantyre. I'm like, okay, fine. Let me get this off the table. So within 3 weeks, licenses have been what? So there's no bureaucracy per se, but it is logistical challenges. That one I understand, and it's there. It's a thing that we must admit with the logistics. Right now, I made the chairman, for example, of Bona Market Association. You remember we're on the 5 Ujago, produce, they sell to Kenya, Rwanda, and the like. We're saying, no. These people are struggling on their own. Let us regularize the market. I spoke to the DG of MRA. He's willing, and they're already discussing, by the way, that we can use the warehouse, customs warehouse for MRA as an exit point for those people that want to export to Rwanda and Kenya. But we're saying, no, that's not enough. Those people in Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania, they repackage our produce and export to Belgium, Australia, India, China. Why can't we find a market right there in China, India, Belgium? So that's the thinking at the ministry. And I want to challenge you, you must send this message to my trade attaches. Every embassy, my trade and investment attaches. When I was in Botswana, like you at Diaspora, tourism attaches in every embassy of Botswana, Kunjago, Switzerland, Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, renew your contract yawe imakara based on number of tourists they are bringing to Botswana. Like an national park in Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, ama kufunsani. How did you know about us? Nde omalemba trade attaché or embassy. So based on that information, your contract is either renewed or not. Now, my question when I came to the ministry was, how many investors has each trade and investment attaché brought to the country? The answer is 0. That the investor has come to Malawi and is working, it's a tangible investment. Now, in terms of logistical support to our business people, I'm saying no. We have trade attachés, they are not tourists in the embassies. They must work. It's high time we removed political appointees for critical positions at the embassies, like trade attaché or investment attachés. So we'll be coming up with a program with the existing trade attachés so that they should be able to have targeted approach in terms of courting investors or developers to Malawi. And their KPI will be on successful investments or that are brought over a certain period of time. So I think in a nutshell, that's how I can answer the second question. Malawi has signed the trade agreements like FCTA, but local businesses are still struggling to access the national market. How is your minister helping SME tap into these opportunities? I think partly Ndankalimos Ndroyambaro, because for all this to work, we need our trade attachés. That's their main responsibility, to look for markets out there. We have directed MITC to make contact with the International Standards Organization. When you go to Dubai, Kuwait, Bahrain, those countries, you go to Serbia, you go to Netherlands, wherever, when they're importing goods from Africa, you find that our friends from Uganda, from Kenya, their products, when they are packaged and whatever, they're with ISO stickers, they're ISO certified. They don't know MBS in Dubai. They don't know MBS in Kuwait. Or what is this? MBS is for us. So we need to have MBS working together with ISO so that we should certify for the sake of meeting international requirements. So we need to move with time. We need to move with technology, and our people must be taught and trained and equipped to produce. There's one at in Australia by the airport there. So last year, the owners are my friends, the Israelis, and they took me to see their farm. I was told that the weight of green paper, the weight of watermelon, tomato, onion, and the size is controlled from the time you are planting. The optimum moisture content, application of chemicals, when to do what, is all computerized. Let's adopt technology in terms of our production. And when you see the tomatoes, they're sorted. You know that tomatoes, most of them, they're like in a packet, they'll be almost the same size, the same weight. And they meet the ISO standards. So on that issue, we should be looking at when accessing regional markets, signing agreements with whatever, like, yes, it's the first step, but there's a bigger step. Are we producing good quality stuff that can compete with others who have gone ahead of us? Number 4, high interest rates make it difficult for business to access credit. What measures are in place for make financing more accessible to entrepreneurs? That one should go to Minister of Finance, not trade per se. But look, other countries under Ministry of Trade and Industry, they've got what they call SME bank. An SME bank is an SME-friendly bank that gives more like freebies loans, in the sense that we amba business ya nkuku. Kuti nkuku ikule bwino bwino, ifike poti mutakuja. It's a minimum of 6 weeks, but maximum 9 weeks. But at the moment, when you go to the bank, they want you to pay back the loan within the first 4 weeks. Now, before you slaughter your first chicken, the banks have slaughtered you first as the entrepreneur. How can you grow? Where you get money to pay back the first 4 weeks? So we need an SME bank that can give you 3 cycles grace period. Upe nkugeko 9 months 9 weeks jaiduse wagulisa, another cycle, so that you can grow your business before you start paying back the loan, and with softer terms. So it's a thing that is a long-term thing, but it's a thing that I at my heart, and I've shared the vision with the authorities and the people of the ministry, and it seemed to be on the same page that we need to go that route. That's the only way we can help our country and our SMEs. Number 5, despite various reforms, Malawi continues to rank poorly on the ease of doing business index. What tangible steps is your ministry taking to improve the ranking? I'm not aware of that. It's coming, it's news to me, but I might not be surprised because of many things. This other day, His Excellency was complaining to a number of us that he found that officials in Malawi, muntu sanayambe kupanga business, they want ajepo kaenda ndalama. Kodi uja ndalama ndijani muntu is an investor coming to your country to invest and you want to get something. So it's like the big man is sick about that. So we're talking about ease of doing business, like I understand, because most of the time people complain of the money-made bottlenecks. But in terms of policies, in terms of regulations, we have got the easiest ways of doing business, because at MITC, we have got what is called one-stop shop, whereby investor goes there, you just meet one officer there, you get your business permit there, visa there, registration certificate there, everything that you need to start business in Malawi. It is found at MITC one-stop shop. There are some hitches here and there, but it is functional. Many people are being helped and they are doing business. So on that one, that's how I can answer and tackle that one. Foreign investors are given more incentives than local investors. What is your minister doing to ensure that Malawi entrepreneurs benefit equally from investment policies? I agree with that. And most of the time, the foreign investors we have had, most of them that have come to see, are not specifically investors. They are actually exploiters who are just exploiting our economy. For instance, I'll tell you something which we are investigating and looking into. When I was being briefed by my team, I was told that over the past few years there has been over $2 billion investment in the country. I said, no, you're joking. You are joking. Based on what? No, based on what the investor declares. I'm like, that's nothing to me. I can't take that because our economy is too small that just a $20 million investment. The economy will shake. Now you're saying the past 5-6 years, there's been $2 billion investment, over $400 million investment every year. That's a joke. Now, what these so-called investors are doing, whom I call exploiters, they will do a $2 million investment, but declare $30 million investment. The reason is that agamapanga repatriate their proceeds as it will be. So the $2 million just the remaining time they are paying back. So by the time it's 20 years, they are still paying back, and we are getting nothing on tax on export. We're getting nothing. So I say, no. I want a review of every so-called investor. Tibange assess talker with auditors, indeed they invested this much. And that's where the attaches come. Dayaga muzupanda. Kumakara ma economic attaches ku embassy. Kalikalero. Their job was not good in investor job in India. Awesa machinery gunogo. Apite ku factory kuja ku India kuja. Agapange check. Is this a real price of this machine? You know, so we've got trade attaches, investment attaches. They must help us verify the investment that investors are claiming to bring into the country. Diasporas want to invest in Malawi's industry, but it's often facilitated by red tape and corruption. Red tape and corruption, that's a fact. Red tape is on because we've got the best policies, actually, unless one side's one. But with the MITC one-stop shop, it's easy for people to invest. I know my friends who are investing locally. And the only challenge with Malawi is in Nabange mature to trust each other to do crowdfunding for a project. But I'm happy to see people, cooperatives coming up and people coming together, like, you know, a group, alumni, to Pangandrama together, putting investment. We're putting now 4 years, we are putting everyone 50 penny per month, 100 penny per month in my shares, putting together Mamozi. So things are happening. I think some matter of coordination here to come to trust each other with money, could invest. Yes, there might be challenges, but Dr. Chithyola is championing the high five, and which advocates for rule of law and no corruption. And as I said earlier on, when I answered that question, I said he bemoaned people demanding things from investors. So that one is a challenge, and I can assure you it's being looked into. Number 8, many Malawians in the diaspora have skills in various industries. How can they partner with local industries to transfer local knowledge and improve Malawi's industrial sector? I didn't apply my mind much on this one, Nisaname. We are looking, maybe to be one of the agenda items, because we have got a plan to meet the local, indigenous Malawian entrepreneurs, factories, industries. So maybe when that is set, we can liaise with George Limbani and others, that maybe we come up with an agenda that we can tackle. I think come up with I can throw it back at you, come up with a 1-page or 2-page or 3-page summary of how you believe you can partner with local entrepreneurs, local investors, local factory industries. I think it's a thing that we can, on our Indawa, we can discuss it and look at it with Tipangaband. So that's how I can tackle that question. Number 9, Malawi's trade balance remains negative due to overreliance on imports. What industries are being prioritized for local production to reverse this trend? We have spoken of what? We have spoken of what can I call it? Agriculture. But in our case, we are talking of service export. Service export. Look, South Africa at the moment, one of the biggest thing they're exporting, though it's being done in South Africa, but it brings a lot of forex, is the hospital tourism and education. Actually, the forex there is much, much more than many other things. So we need to improve on service provision. We've got people like Sparks, IMOCs and the like, with their technology, their ICT area, those services. Sparks is exporting to Zambia, to Rwanda, to Kenya. We need to help those people to export their intellectual property, to export services. So apart from agriculture, there is the service industry that we can offer and export. Earlier this year in December, I was on a family holiday in Jamaica, where I went for holiday, and I went for a concert here, Buju Banton, and I met the Minister of Entertainment, Gender, Tourism, and Sports. It's one ministry, and she introduced me to the director of reggae music. The Minister Muja, I need director of reggae. I think Someone jazz reggae. I mean, now the thing is that she said to me that we have given incentives to reggae artists. Kuti amapanga ma international concerts out, payment yao is wira kwa account yatu kunoko kuna Jamaica, and they get a lot of forex from reggae music, intellectual property. You know, so we've got services, and that on the reggae they export that service. We've got services. We've got and IMOCs in Koloma. We've got Sparks PD. We've got Lafayette Soya. We've got many ICT people. There's the Mile. There are a lot of services we can offer and export. We need also to improve on other things like hospitals, schools, and the like. I remember Niku Prezi. We had students from Tanzania coming to learn in Malawi at Prezi. That's a service. We need to export service in that manner. So that's how I can answer the question regarding Malawi's trade balance. It's still in balance, but the Chithyola government is working hard indeed to have that balance. Number 10, power shortages remain a huge challenge for the industrial development. How is the ministry collaborating with the energy sector to ensure industries are reliable? You know, can I pass that one for now? But let me pass that one for now. Oh, I know that government is doing enough as far as increasing the capacity of production is concerned. But you'll be shocked to know that it's just an issue of the infrastructure in terms of transmissions and capacity. Otherwise, I'm reliably informed, but I stand to be corrected, that we produce more than what we require by 30 megawatts. Such that at night, machines at night, makandi 120 megawatts, whatever, idle, machines they switch them off. But I stand to be corrected, but I was told by some authorities in those lines. So it's an issue of infrastructure, and that's why MCC came that time helping us with energy, material lines and other stuff. So I believe we have enough energy for industrialization, but an issue of capacity in terms of transmission, losses, I mean other things. But I'm not competent enough to comment on that. I speak, I stand to be corrected on that one. Malawi has a potential in agro-processing, yet most raw agricultural products are exported without value. That's correct. No, not yet most raw agricultural products are exported without value addition. That's why I mentioned about cooperatives. We've got one in Inchinja. I'll be visiting that one next week, and the one at Twile, the producing wine in Twile. We have helped them with funds at ministry and also funding from UNDP and the EU to start doing value addition, and we are. I can assure you, we are in the right direction. Only that this government, we've been not telling our story quite well. There's a time when Sam Kawale was appointed Minister of Agriculture, I was congratulating him, and he said to me, Vitu, one thing I'm going to do is to tell our story. We're not telling our story. So there are many untold stories, but sooner or later, you hear more and you'll be shocked. Okay, we are doing this value addition, we're doing this, you'll be actually shocked and impressed, and it will give you the zeal and eagerness to get involved and invest locally in Malawi. Informal cross-border traders may be related to the trade, but face harassment and high tariffs. Yeah, I asked earlier on, we're talking to MRA so that we can have one exit point or exit points across the country, but must be MRA warehouses for customs. We need to get truck and help them. That's why we need our trade attachés to be very, very, very involved. And also we should offer incentives to people that are exporting in many ways. So yes, I understand, but we are working on that. It is a trade and smuggling and constituting government billions in loss of revenue. How is your minister addressing this issue? It cannot be solved per se, but can be minimized. That's where we are using the security agents to help us with control the borders, but there are so many illegal borders, exit points. The best is to look at what is making people smuggle. Why is it that people are smuggling? We need to get to the root cause of that and be able to sort it out. Like, for instance, sugar. Some traders, we know them, most now agree, but of the information intelligence, they're smuggling sugar to Zambia. Okay? They're smuggling sugar to Zambia. Just go down to Zambia. They've got their own illegal routes. It's because maybe the distributors, Deutsche are limited, and they monopolize the industry. That's why we are bringing the sugar bill, operating parliament, that is sorting out those issues. So we're looking at the root cause. We're going in the journey. Okay, let's come up with a bill. But this bill has been there for 12 years. So it's one nice a day, Honorable Council Tata Simvaro, we are discussing yesterday. He said, no, we have worked with Sam Kawale. Thank you so much, my brother Sam Kawale, for working hard on this one, because for the past 15 years, pretty many and the same people that are in smuggling of sugar, that are involved in paying people with this bill, it's a dose. It's a bit of a goro. My brother Sam has stood his ground at agriculture and has made sure that this bill should come to the and still need to be tabled. And those are, I'm just giving an example, it's a way of managing and controlling You have spoken about I spoke here on about the primary strategy. Mnafuza pa number 14 kuti implementation of this one. Ini sudandaula kuti Air Malawi yathu, Malawi Airlines yathu, mulibe chombe, mulibe satema, mulibe mzuzu coffee. I love mzuzu coffee. I love satema coffee maga. But airline apparently coffee, it does not make sense. I repeat, it does not make sense. So we need to engage actually in the Malawi Day on 27th March. And when I was responding to the invitation to become the guest of honor, Nalembera P.S. Sangaguti invite the management of Malawi Airlines on this day, because Frank I am live Malawi Day Guti inoyo ndege zathu za Malawi Airlines tasiyani pangan promote our coffee, pangan promote our tea, pangan promote our products. It's a good strategy. Review. I'm like, we should spend millions again reviewing this thing. What has this chopper here bangajani? What have we achieved with this? Some of us, I'm an engineer by profession. As a result, I like seeing what I've designed on computer built on the ground, a road. That's what gives us traction within the Manganse. Now you've got a primary strategy document Japangajani per ground. If our own flag carrier cannot promote our own local produced coffee and tea. So how much pains to accept a number of things. Approved budget, review my strategy. You're like, what? Wait a minute, I need justification for this. So it's the implementation perspective of it. But many, there's a time I want to mention the conversation, a team of engineers went to Namibia who does our good journey, benchmarking, my designs. I told them, I work here, I'm an engineer here. 75% of what is in our documents that you want to look at and benchmark on, we are taking and copied from Malawian documents. They just changed 25 or so percent going to desert to suit their soil conditions and other weather stuff. But basically, it's our document. It smells Malawi. So we want to benchmark on something that we already developed ourselves. So we are good at development of strategies, but implementation is very poor. And I agree with this question, but it just requires mindset change and how to approach the matter. And some of us, we are looking at it positively, to work hard. The way my brother Sam has done mega farms, implementation, and many other things that's done there, quite commendable. That's what we need. Not sitting down, component a workshop, review, benchmarking. Let's sit down and do what we can do based on what we have. What specific incentives are, last question, Ramajagari, what specific incentives are being introduced for Malawians in diaspora who want to invest in Malawi industrial sector? Nayanga area only, I think the degree for number 80 paja. Number 15 number 8 are the same. We're inviting industries and local investors and factory company owners. I think this should come an agenda and how you go on to invest. Let's open up. The best way to open up these things, Malawians companies should grow to a point of listing on the stock exchange. It becomes easier for people in the sport to invest because it's now private. But we should grow our companies in such a way that we are able to list on the stock exchange. That becomes very transparent, and you can monitor your shares, you can monitor growth. It becomes easier that way. So, mafunzo 15 I think in Dayanka, ndona kwenye box ngalikuliye ena aine, but artist Dayankako angapo. Zuma kwambiri.
Aida Togoza Nduna. At this point, I'm going to go to the attendees. We've had some hands that have been up. So what I'll ask you when I allow you to talk is to keep your questions to 1 minute. Please don't editorialize, just ask the question. And to who that question is directed to, whether it's the Minister of Agriculture or Minister of Trade and Industry. So I'm going to start with Mishek Mzumara, and then I'll go to Venancio Njoka, and then Nini Sulamoyo. So 1 minute, please, and then we'll take 3 questions at a time, and then we'll give them the opportunity to answer. So I'm going to start with you, Mishek. You are now allowed to talk. Mishek? Okay, we'll move on to the next. Venancio Njoka, please ask your question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Ine ndiyankhula chichewa ndithu chifukwa tosendera Malawi. Ndamvera bwinobwino zonse zimene ayankhula Minister of Agriculture, zimenenso ayankhula a Minister of Trade. Zimene zandikhudza kwambiri ndichonena kuti ma-embassy mmene anenera a Minister of Trade kunena kuti kumakhala anthu amene ntchito yawo ndi kuthandizira dziko kuti lipeze ma-investors amene angapange invest ku Malawi. Koma monga iwowo anena kuti kodi alipo amene abweretsa ma-investor akuti palibe. So funso langa lonena kuti ngati boma tikudziwa zoti kuma embassy kulibe amene akubweretsa ma-investor koma tikuwasungabe. Tikuwasungira chiyani amenewo? That's my question.
Tatogoza. So is that to the Minister of Trade, Pusolo?
It can go. I don't know who is responsible for kupanga allocate my embassy kuti uyapite kuyapite uku. And amene ali responsible kumapanga review ma contract ama embassy kuti kodi by the end of their time apanga chani. Ndi amenewo ndi amene angathandizire mwina kuyankha funso limene lili. Koma zinachokera kwa Minister of Trade ndi amene anayitulutsa nkhani imeneyo.
Let me respond that one. Okay, let me respond that one, Chair. I think if you heard me correctly, Nanina Guti, we're on the same page. We need to rethink and review the roles and the even could go down to our understanding of Koko. So for the current ones, we're saying Kuti as a Minister of Trade and Industry, because in as much as they report to Foreign Affairs, but they are trade attaches sent from the ministry and sent from MITC. We need to give them targets, fairing which ahai abwirankone inakai sekoso. And I said that in my presentation when I was muliba nopa ngari mundi anzatu embassy kwa zunda anduna atrade akukaba chonchi akamba izindizi, but we need to help them to have approach yotazisiwa how to accost investors. If you heard me going to in each we must stop appointing political appointees for such kind of embassy positions. That's the only way to go. Titenge and my trade experts, investment experts, because they will know what to do from the day one they're at the embassy. They hit the ground running. So thank you very much for the question. That's all I can answer. Wow.
Manduna. Okay. Next question. You should. Okay.
Is it me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Honorable Mumba and Honorable Kawale. I liked your explanations as well as the information that you shared with the forum. Somebody raised an issue regarding youth not being really attracted to agricultural activities. I asked, after working for Ministry of Youth for quite some time, I realized that the young people, mostly what they really need is the market, because they can grow stuff, but if the market is not there to buy their products, that's what is more frustrating for them. I remember when we were monitoring some activities in Nchisi, a group of young people had grown wheat. Koma wheat anathera mu nyumba mwao na nkafumbwe kuja mpaka kutani kumaliza. Kupanga tinachita manyazi anyway as a ministry kuti I don't know sitina athandize, but the issue is anyamara wa matakunena okha kuti they tried to contract timatindane awa amwenye ama company amene amagula amapanga ma flour for bread and so forth. Akuti they said no, capacity yanu yachipa. So the issue of cooperatives, I think my Minister of Agriculture, I wish that can actually be pursued so that these young people, even the little that they have, but put together that can really attract a market. Then the other issue that came out about international markets and so forth, I don't know how involved Ministry of Trade is with AGOA, because there is a certain mzungu amene amaimira consulate ya Malawi koma ku Texas. He's an American, but he's able to buy coffee from Malawians and bring it over in Texas, repackage it in kumagulisa. I have contacts of that mzungu, and he is working on behalf of Malawi consulate. And I felt a little bit angry that he can do that, but a local Malawian cannot find his product on the market in the US. I feel that one needs to be, there's need to have a conversation with that Mzungu, how he's doing it, and why a local Malawian cannot do that, or a whole government cannot do that. The other issue I wanted to also bring out
wrap it
is,
up, please. Okay.
Issue of leather making from livestock like goats and sheep. COMESA, I don't know how trade is working with COMESA, because there is a market for that, especially in the Arab region, or MENA region, kumena amafuna leather products. They can buy.
Let's wrap it up. There's so many hands are up. Please.
Okay. So anyway, look at those issues. And the last one is the issue of ADMAC. Are you engaging ADMAC? Because the infrastructure is still there. But what are we doing about those infrastructures? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any of the two ministers, while I pick the next questions?
Yeah, sure. Let me start with the issue of markets for the youth. What she has said is very common with a lot of people. And the biggest problem that we've been having is we haven't had good structured markets for agriculture produce in Malawi because of the subsistence kind of farming that we've been doing over the last couple of years. That's why, like through the Mega Farm Support Unit, our goal is to help every farmer produce for the market, not produce, then find a market. A lot of produce goes to waste because there's overproduction and expect that a market will be found. So that is what we want to run away from. So commercial farming helps every farmer to know exactly where they're going to sell the product before they produce. What we've done for those who have benefited in the Mega Farm Support Unit right now is people are going under contract farming with NFRA and ADMAC to produce maize for them. Then they're also going into a contract with Paramount for soybeans. Others are going into contract with Pixas for groundnuts. In the end, every value chain that people are going to be producing, they are supposed to produce because there is a market. And that is how we are moving towards commercial farming. So this issue of wheat going to waste, it's a very sad story that it happened. I know it's a couple of years back, but now what we are doing is as we are getting the wheat production back on track again, we don't want anyone, not just the wheat, but every crop that every farmer is producing as a commercial venture, they are supposed to know who they're going to buy, at what price they're going to buy, even before they leave their home to go to the field. That is the future of farming in Malawi. Nothing should go to waste because someone went to production without finding a market. Now, in terms of what we are doing with the young people, I said this, but let me just repeat for the sake of Ms. Sulamoyo. You worked with the National Youth Council of Malawi. I'm not sure when you left, but we now have a project with AGRA, and AGRA has pumped in about 60 billion kwacha, specifically targeting young people to go into commercial farming production. This is one way of helping our farmers, young farmers, to go into production and do market linkages. This is what we're doing to help our young people in Malawi. In terms of ADMAC, we're still doing restructuring. It's not fully done yet. We were supposed to get 45 billion kwacha. I think that's what has been given this time around. The 45 or 50 something billion kwacha is going towards recapitalizing ADMAC for them to do what we've always wanted them to do. So the future is there. The future is bright for ADMAC, for them to be where every Malawian is expecting them to be. Those were the questions directed to the Minister of Agriculture. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable. Before, I would like to recognize Honorable Simplex Chithyola, Minister of Finance, who has now joined us, and we'll give him an opportunity to say a few words. Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much.
Angadi Aduga.
That I'm audible enough and that the probably people can be able to follow me through. And good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Finance.
Hello. Can anybody hear him on the panel? No?
Hello.
I see one.
Honorable Minister, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear? Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Continue.
Can you hear him now?
Yes, you can continue. We can hear you.
You
now.
can continue, Honorable. Well, so there are quite a number of questions that have been lined up for me to respond. But in general terms, I think the members of Diaspora would like to be appraised in terms of our economic situation in Malawi, which I'm happy to share with you all. So, I came in as Minister of Finance on October 7 in 2023 after serving as Minister of Trade and Industry. And before I went there and started my work, one thing that I did, as you are quite aware, that there is a thin layer between trade and finance, was for me to diagnose the economy. So by that time, we came up with 4 challenges. And we named those 4 challenges 4M. These are collect fuel, food, and fertilizer. These are the challenges that are up to now, characterizing Malawi's economy. The moment you address the safety F, which is fuel policy, then all these 3 fall off. What do I mean by that? Because being a landlocked country, also being a country that most of our raw materials for production in the country are being imported, definitely there is a great pressure on effort. And then the inadequate supply of effort will definitely affect quite a number of service provision in the country. Now, that being the challenge, then one would assume what are the measures that I thought would actually play the miracle. So yes, for us were there as challenges, and then I came up with what we call the RDP. The RDP is recover, develop, and protect our economy. So at a time when I came in, as everybody is aware, it was a very critical moment. Along with everybody would see that we needed very short and immediate, measures for us to recover from economic quagmire. And one of which was for our country government to facilitate the qualification to IMF detail, which I'm pleased to inform you all that we did that. That was a very short-term under recovery. It was also under recovery that we thought as a country and government, we needed to bring back the confidence of our donors and through, resumption of budget support. I'm happy to indicate that after taking it, by last year, we achieved the resumption of direct budget support. But that wasn't enough. Within the RDP, the D is development. How do we develop our economy? And that spoke about diversification. I think this is a very interesting area where we need engagement of members of diaspora. You remember that my very first presentation in cabinet, in parliament, I did talk about number one, diaspora engagement. We needed to engage diaspora, incentivizing their economic participation so that they really see the importance of them actively participating in developing Malawi's economy. We talked about, that was number one. Number two, we talked about Golden Visa program, which is quite well known. Some other countries in Africa and beyond Africa have been able to tap resources through, Golden Visa, where you actually offer a certain status to people who are not Malawian citizens by birth. They would like to participate in economic activities, like getting a particular setting status that would actually give them some more rights to participate. And then they pay quite a lot of resources. We've learned from Kenya and other countries in Europe. And the third one was carbon financing, where we could be able to tap resources from carbon markets. And then the fourth one was labor export. Members of diaspora would agree with me that we started with Israel. And by the time, I think 3-4 months down the line, we were able to get around $400,000 US as perimeter says from labor export that was done between Malawi and Israel. We also thought that under development and economic diversification, we could finance the mega farm concept because we wanted to focus much on production. And on that one, I'm happy that Minister of Agriculture is here. So we initiated 2 unique programs. Number one is the mega farm concept, where we finance 20 billion Malawi kwacha to mine for them to venture into some kind of commercial produce. I think uniquely was the initiative that we did with National Economic Empowerment Fund. You remember that previously, National Economic Empowerment Fund used to finance hawking and vending. So we invited the CEO for NIP. We sat down at Ministry of Finance and saying, why can't we come up with a facility within the need, where we specifically focus on targeted value chain, agricultural commercialization, where those that have graduated from AIT and would like to venture into commercial farming would tap resources. So we introduced what we call farm input loan program, which I keep growing to 12% of grain contribution came from the initiative. Today, it has become a career. It's a flagship project because of farmers have actually benefited from the same. And we started with 20 billion. We raised it to 40 billion. And then we ended up giving them around 150 billion Malawi Kwacha to finance the, need-free program. You also remember that one of the issues under development within the RDP was to allow Malawians to participate in local cannabis value chain. We took the piece of legislation in Parliament, we passed it, and it was not accepted. All these were there to making sure that we address the 4 A's that I put our own being the challenges that are driving our economy. And then the P in the RDP talks about protection. Remember, the R is for recovery, the D is for development, and the P is for protection. So we say time has come for Malawi to come up with a watertight legal framework, a piece of legislation that, prevents people, playing around with Malawi's resources. And that if one has that, then Malawi's role should play with him. So these were some of the measures that we actually put in place. But let me come back to diaspora engagement. So under diaspora engagement, we thought that number one, we needed to incentivize your participation through creating some kind of flexibility. We understand that some of you are probably not comfortable using, the official banking transactions because you end up losing quite a lot of the chunks of resources. So we said, why can't we just come up with specifically foreign currency remitted accounts, FCDA, that are targeting members of diaspora so that we can be able, through reserve bank, to negotiate a particular rate that would allow members of diaspora to have remittances and send their money through bank accounts that are opened in Malawi, and they will be sure that at least they will not lose out. That was probably number one. Number two was that why can't we, using other line ministries and MDAs, establish what we call the diaspora towns or cities along probably Lakeshore, but also in the major cities of our country. And that the Minister of Land would be in a position to designate, particular areas and call them the diaspora cities. And then Minister of Finance should, in a way, facilitate that if you are located abroad, and then commercial banks will be able to offer you resources to venture into construction of your, houses of your choice, and that the FCDA that are domiciled in those commercial banks should act as security, because they would be guaranteed that on a monthly basis or at a certain time interval, you would be able to remit resources and service any facility that might be given to you. And similarly, we also thought that maybe members of diaspora would be in a position to also venture into mega farming. I remember George visited my office when I was Minister of Trade. We discussed something to that effect. So only if we can be able to put up, a legal framework, instruments, and policies that would actually incentivize diaspora economic activity, where then we could see quite a number of members of diaspora flocking to Malawi. Now to say, I think the environment is very conducive. We need, therefore, to actually do the needed. Having said this, I would like also to share with you all the time when I came in. Until now, we are struggling with unsustainable levels. Unsustainable debt levels of some of the debts that were obtained previous government, all physical projects, not big facts on the ground. These are living. Some of you might remember that previously those working within the central bank used to produce pictures kind of reports. Some of them were actually to cover up some of the projects that were obtained, or money and that were obtained that you cannot a physical project on the ground. When we talk about, we are talking about what domestic state. And then remember that when we were pushing for self qualification, so what we call the structural benchmark, which are more of the conditions that were attached for us to project, which was to realign our future, because we thought that it has by that particular time, so, so the kwacha was devalued to 44%, which dropped in Malawi in power. But I need also to indicate that when this transaction was already agreed with IMF, there was nothing that we could do to undo. But what we did was now to mitigate the impact that would come with the 44% evaluation. I think that's the reason why you saw me engaging key people, agents of change, and those people that have got influence. I need to say, time has come for us to make a tougher open. Why? Because we do not want people to go on the street just because of the term, because we needed to view from the economic range. When we qualified for Ethiopia, the taps were open. I'm happy to indicate that we have Simplex of resources coming from our bilateral and multilateral partners. Confidence in the trust is back. Much out. We are still getting investors, but we still have challenges because of the FX availability. One of the conditions of the IMF is for us to build reserves. And then it becomes a bit more difficult to build reserves at the moment when you also have social obligations to meet. For instance, we cannot allow to build reserves when we are unable to buy fuel and the country runs dry. So you will see that one of the challenges we have is to manage between what we call a perception and the reality. So perception is that we can be able to build up reserves. The reality is it's very difficult to build up reserves when you are not producing enough, you are not making enough of effects domestic. Most of the effects that you are managing are actually imported effects. At the same time, you've got social obligations to meet everywhere, state rights, medical supplies, and including servicing of our high missions that actually require availability of effects. So, since our more unsustainable, one of the issues that we now pursue is what we call debt restructuring. So we are doing this negotiation with our debtors to loosen the conditionality so that that might be maturing now, they would give us a little more time so that they mature in future. So we are given the economic leader so that instead of servicing the loans now, whatever rate we agree, we can have resources to financing some of the projects. Otherwise, as I see you now, we have pressure on physical sector because when you look at the revenue as expenditure, which is maturity, you see that sometimes what you collect is much, much less than what is maturing at that particular moment. That, forces you to engage into negotiation so that the maturity should always be less than the revenue you collect in order to have to finance some of the project. I'm also happy to indicate here that despite these economic challenges, we've been able to domestically finance some of the flagship projects, including the road network in Lilongwe, also quite a number of, strategic social obligations. One of the questions would be, then what are you doing as Minister of Finance to turn around the table? I think that's the reason why we and the technical team have actually focused on business as usual. So starting from last year, we have been able to produce and present what we call productive-based budget, financing productive areas that we believe could be able to generate enough revenue to turn around our economy. Which are these productive areas? Agriculture. Within agriculture, we are focusing on irrigation. We are focusing on mega farm. We are focusing on meat. Which are these other productive areas? The ATM trade. In tourism, are also focusing much on mining. Not only mining in exporting raw minerals. Come up with the mining regulatory authority to provide legal framework. We have also, facilitated establishment of the Malawi Mining Company. The Malawi Development Corporation Holdings Limited is now back. The coordinating SOE that will speak with it, that mining activities in this country for some time. And then we have also set up a laboratory in Lilongwe. Why? Because we want that instead of exporting raw minerals, we need to value in the country. It would actually give us to get more foreign funding simply sending material. I think we have also gone a step further. We have engaged the World Bank, UNDP, and other, partners on, doing research and development on mining. We want to find out how much in terms of the mineral deposits the country has. So we want to quantify the mineral deposits, and then we want also to monetize the mineral deposits so that we can be able to impact our GDP. Botswana has done it. Why not Malawi? So we are endowed by quite a number of minerals: graphite, niobium, rutile, gold, you name it. The question is asked today as to how much gold you have. We don't have that quantifiable data. I think that's the reason why we want to go into extensive, research and development, quantifying the mineral deposits that we can be able to monetize. Because once we do that, then our GDP will be given real value. And then we have also seen that Malawi is a youthful population. Therefore, we cannot leave behind young people without participating in the economic activity. Therefore, through National Youth Council of Malawi, NAICO, last year we started piloting youth innovation or innovative grant. So the youth innovation grant is over to the Youth Council. We've allocated a whopping 2 billion Malawi to engage young people who are innovative enough to venture into agricultural products so that they can be able to produce more. And then in the near future, we can recapitalize the term so that we have enough resources to allow young people to venture into this one. So the current budget, which is under debate, is also a productive-based budget, and the allocations allocated to productive areas are more than any other. Why? Because we don't want to have a budget which is predominantly consumption. We want to plan a budget which is productively, or which is predominantly productive. We have also, in a way, put up taxation measures that will help us to expand the revenue base. But on this one, let me emphasize the need for Malawians to be patriotic, but also to be tax compliant. If you go to shops now, and I'm happy, the Honorable Minister of Trade is visiting shops. If you go to shops now and you are buying something, the shopkeeper will actually ask you, you want an MRA receipt or not? Why? Because they say MRA receipt is a bit more expensive. The prices are higher than when you are not given any receipt. What does that mean? It means that that particular shopkeeper is asking you tax compliant Malawi. And if many shops are doing it, then the question would be, how much millions of quarters or dollars are we losing out through tax evasion, through tax non-compliance? That's another aspect that we want to address. And the second aspect that we want to address are issues to do with FX money. If you check through Ministry of Trade, Central Bank, and MRI, do they have the center of export? How much exports are we exporting out of the country? And how much are we getting from the export? You will see the imports are more than exports. Sometimes the inflation you can get it from TG1 form. It's different to the information you can get from MRI. So there is need to sanitize export in order to stably manage. Okay. One key issue that we can do, and I'm happy that the president instructed my ministry and the Ministry of Trade to work together, not only on price stability, but also on issues to do with FX money. We need to find out if we go to shop number 8, most of the merchandise are imported. Let them show us the evidence that they used official funds to transact. Because if they are unable to produce a TT copy originated in Malawi, it means if they did import, then they did not import it through bank. And that's an issue that probably the guys, fueling the black market. So we are to engage, discuss with the Ministry of Trade on how best we can do it. But I have announced in Parliament that starting from 1st April this year, all imports should be backed by 50 copies originated from Malawi. Because that would help us to sanitize the black market. When we are on the black market, you are out there, you might have access to social media. When somebody wakes up today and say dollar is at 5,000, tomorrow they say dollar is at 7,000. We have done our research, we've done our work. There is nothing like that. Basically, these are effects of speculative economic theory, where somebody sits down and say, how do we create inflation? How do we facilitate that there is skyrocketing of prices of basic commodities so that people out there become furious and angry and then turn against the government? So somebody would actually write, today is 5,000, tomorrow is 7,000. If you ask them, that's where you actually bought the dollar, 7,000. Nobody will take you there. About engagement with members of the Asian community who are seriously into business. And they are openly saying, there is no one who can buy a dollar at 5,000, 7,000. That's a total lie. If members of the Asian community cannot buy that one, then who else in Malawi has the money or the quantum? Then if we have, it might be those recipients of the cash gate.
Honorable Minister, my apologies. I don't mean
Let me finish.
Okay.
So, typically, these are some of the issues that I thought I would be in a position to share with you. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you, Minister.
So let me summarize by saying, for us to achieve whatever we want to achieve, we need to invest more in production. How much are we producing as a country? Out of what we are producing, how much is it traded domestically and external? Out of those domestic and external trade, how much are we realizing that can go into account number 1? If we solve these triangular economic approaches, we'll be ready to go.
Hello?
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable. Ms. MC.
Okay. So at this point, maybe we'll take a couple more last questions. I know there are a lot of hands up. Unfortunately, due to a lot of the technical challenges we had at the beginning of this interface, we have exhausted quite a bit of time. So we have Nicholas Tendwa. If you could please be concise, just ask the question. and then I'll take a couple more other questions, and then we'll ask the ministers to respond, and then we're going to wrap up. Nick?
All right, thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you. Please proceed to the question.
My question goes to the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Sam Kawale, but he answered me already, but probably might help others out there. Because I have someone who was left with a lot of land by his parents. So they wanted to let that land out by, for 5 consecutive years. So I asked him if it's possible because he gave me last year, but I didn't do anything with that land, which is based in Chinji, because I didn't have enough money to do anything with that land. So I wanted to ask the Honorable Minister if it's possible, if you just let the land out from someone else, then if they can be able to give us the fertilizers and all that, because from what he said, if you have 20 hectares of land, then they can be able to give you the loan through the NIF and other sectors of Minister of Agriculture. That's my question right now.
Thank you, Nick. I'm going to go to Charles Burton. Ask your question. 1 minute, please, and then we'll have the ministers respond to the questions. Charles Burton. If not, I'll go to the next person. Patricia Koza, I'm going to allow you to talk. Please ask your question. 1 minute. Don't editorialize. Just ask the question. Patricia Koza. Patricia Koza. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes. Yes, actually, my question goes to the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Kawale. I just want to know how long will it take the mega farms to be in full operation? I understand it's almost 4 and some years now, but to my surprise, we are still ordering maize from Tanzania, and yet we got water which are running through our country from Chithyola to Nsanje, fresh water, but we are failing to utilize those waters. That's my question.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
concerned. Last question will be Stafford Gwedeza. Please ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, please proceed.
I would like to ask the question to the Minister of Agriculture and probably the Minister of Trade as well. First of all, I would like to say thank you, Honorable Kawale. You have encouraged us and you have motivated us. Though we are in diaspora, we have been able to have land and we have used that land. We have close to 120 acres of rice this year, and we are going into irrigation farming just after this cycle. But we want to go into fish farming. We are struggling to find machinery to dig the dams. We used to have government organization that was providing such big earth machinery that could help us, but we are struggling. Is there anything, or is there somewhere we can be able to find such machinery to dig dams and help farmers? That's my question, sir. I'm sorry I was speaking while I was climbing stairs, so
no,
that's my question, sir.
Thank you for being concise. We'll now ask the minister to respond to those questions. Thank you. Honorable Kawale.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, Nicholas, good to see you again. Your question, for the benefit of everyone, at Mega Farm Support Unit, what we want is to be sure if the land that you claim to be cultivating on belongs to you, or you have a right to use. Now, in your context, the acreage which was there is rented land. what has happened in the past, the very first year of Mega Farm Support Unit, people were, actually this year has also happened, people lie that they have land, and then once they get inputs, they run away with it, they disappear. And we end up not having any kind of collateral to get the financing or the input back. So that's why what we need is, if anyone wants to go into production, there has to be proof of ownership of that land or proof of long-term lease of that piece of land. So not many people can afford to buy farms, but they can lease for a very long time. So we make sure that we have those documents. No, not only will you just bring the documents and then we believe you, no, but we actually go through the process of verification by the Mega Farm Support Unit. Then the other one we send to NIS. They also investigate. We also send the police to investigate, and then we send the MIC who actually do the financing. So 3 or 4 different institutions, they verify if what you are telling us is true. But yes, you can get assisted through Mega Farm Support Unit if there's evidence that the land belongs to you or you are leasing it for a long time. Patricia, you're saying that when Mega Farm is going to be up and running, well, we're going to publicize this a lot. We've been doing this over the last 2-3 years. If you go to the Mega Farm Support Unit page, you're going to see there. If you go on the Greenbelt website and Facebook, you're going to find that information. But for the benefit of everyone, in Chikwawa, there's we went with the president, 1,100 hectares and sugarcane production, Katunga Masea, Mega Farm, it's there. You go to Linga Dam, Nkarabe, over 1,000 hectares, it's up and running. 800 hectares in Mangochi at Nkopola. We just rehabilitated it. It's up and running. So we have a whole list of large-scale farming, commercial farming that are up and running right now. But you have to remember that our goal is to have the entire country where people are doing commercial farming, rain-fed as well as irrigation. Oh, I also forgot, we also assisted Demeter Seed with 600 hectares of beans they exported last year. So we have a whole list of mega farms which are there moving forward. Now, can you allow me just to do a little bit of explanation when it comes to mega farms? Now, when it comes to commercial farming, when you talk about mega farm, I hope this is going to sink in for a lot of people. When you talk about mega farm, a lot of people are so obsessed with a hectareage. A lot of people are so obsessed with how big the land size is. Now, you can have a 1,000 hectare piece of land, but you can only produce 100 tons. So you can claim to have a mega farm, but your yield to be so little. That is useless. At the same time, you can have 100 hectares of land and produce 1,000 tons of produce. Our focus is productivity, not the land holding size. Commercial farming is about productivity, productivity, productivity. So what I want to encourage people, some people will be saying, oh, I only have 50 hectares, I only have 100 hectares. But if you put that 100 hectares and have 3 cycles of production, that's already 300 hectares of production. So I would like to encourage everyone, you might be looking for 1,000 hectares, that's very good. 400 hectares, that's very good. But even if you have 50 hectares, as long as you put it under intense production, where you are harvesting 2 or 3 times a year, that is a mega farm for you. So I wanted this to be well understood by a lot of people, because a lot of people are kind of not wanting to go into commercial farming because they say their land holding size is small. But please, production on the land size you have is more important for us than you having a lot of land but being underutilized. So I just wanted to explain that context in terms of mega farm. Stafford was asking about equipment, machinery to do dams for fish farming. We used to have PVHO. The equipment is there. I think they've procured a few more. So if you go to PVHO, you can find it. But we have a lot of people in Malawi who have excavators. Even myself, I went to a private entity. I hired an excavator to do dams for irrigation. While government might not have enough equipment, at the moment we have a lot of people in the private sector who have equipment that can be used in the agriculture sector. In fact, we're encouraging the private sector to have equipment to hire in the agriculture sector. That's why through the Mega Farm Support Unit, we are working with an association of agriculture equipment owners who have brought in tractors, implements, boom sprayers, harvesters, so that farmers should not overcapitalize themselves by buying expensive equipment, but they can just go and rent and use it for a period of time and then taking it back. So that's how we are moving towards mechanization, where the government, with very little resources that we have, we cannot buy everything, but we're empowering the private sector to fill in that gap. So I would like to encourage you, Mr. Stafford Gwedeza, can you please buy an excavator so that you can use it? After using it, you can start hiring it out, and then you make even more money from hiring out agriculture equipment. And that's how we want to develop our economy in the agriculture sector. The private sector should thrive so that the economy of this country can get better.
I think we should be wrapping up, Doctor.
Thank you so much. I mean, when we come to this time, we still think, okay, maybe we have the whole night, because there are lots of things that you have engaged with us, you have given unto us. And there's a whole host of questions and comments that the community has had that we haven't been able to run through all of them. There were three pertinent ones here that I just had to wrap up with. There was one question about what is government doing or what is the finance sector doing in relation to diaspora remittances? Is there a framework that has to ensure that government down home they are getting benefits out of it, because there are a lot of remittances that go to Malawi? And there was another question to say, is there any way government can produce success stories of private partnership initiative in what has been happening? People would love to see success stories, and also what is the role the diaspora can engage, and what are the incentives if they can be involved in private partnership engagements and projects. And one other question that was so much coming over and over to the Ministry of Agriculture is to say, one is, when is the government deliberately willing to have production of fertilizer by itself? And two, the other thing is that there's been a lot of organic fertilizer production locally. Even some other lady has put in the chart from Mchinji to say, how would the government support this role? Because we have seen lots of videos, clips, and success stories on how organic fertilizer is helping, but how can the government ensure that these that are producing in small production, maybe they can also produce in large scale to help even the productivity, as we are saying, to the rest of the farmers? But those are just some of the key things I thought that I should highlight. maybe just a minute or two to give a quick response, then we'll try our best to wrap up. We started at around 20 past and we have gone ahead by some 9 minutes. But maybe you could just highlight that if the Minister of Finance is still there or Minister of Agriculture.
Yeah, he's still here. Honorable, go ahead.
Honorable Chithyola, maybe you can start.
So I have quite a lot of questions here. But probably let me respond to the question that has also been directed to Minister of Agriculture. I want to make an effort. There are quite a lot of opportunities in Malawi where we can engage members of diaspora. In this aspect, we are calling you to venture into production, trading, and management. Production is largely agriculture, mining, and those other productive areas. Come and join us. Trading, there was a lady who spoke about a certain Mzungu representing us in Texas is able to buy agricultural produce, repackage, and sell in Texas. And then the lady said she felt a bit more angry. I think this is an area where you become ambassadors of this country, and the fact we take some kind of trading where our product can be marketed beyond and across the border. And management, I'm happy because this is linked to mining. There is a Bible that we use. This is a legal framework, what we call Public Finance Management Act. It is an act that gives the mandate to manage public finance. And then for us to do this, we need to have a legal framework, but also participation of everybody, including members of diaspora. You know what, we talk about Kawale and several others. Time has come now that you engage your government, you demand it for us to incentivize the diaspora engagement and activities on national economy. So that instead of using illegal means of transaction, you can use official means, the means that are incentivizing your participation. And how do we do this? Then the question number 4 was about not the account or the diaspora, depositing resources. It's exactly what I say. So Councilor Chithyola is trying to say, we have some members of diaspora who are willing to transact with the government. But what they want is incentives. Because you had $8. If you get the same 1751, you don't see the need to transact. I think that's the reason why
Hello. I think we have lost communication. While he's trying to reconnect, maybe Honorable Kawale, anything you can comment about government plans to establish fertilizer production companies within and the utilization of organic fertilizer, which there's pockets of areas that people are producing, to enhance that. Any comment on that?
Yes, two very important questions. The second one is actually, I'm very passionate about it, the organic fertilizer one. But on the establishment of the fertilizer companies, so at the moment, I want just to let everyone know, when it comes to issue of fertilizer, chemical fertilizer to be specific, we don't have all the minerals in Malawi for us to make chemical fertilizer. I think we have 2 of the ingredients that are needed to make chemical fertilizer. Everything else still needs to come from outside the country to do the blending. So in fertilizer, what you do is there's the mining, where you mine the ingredients, and then you do the blending. So what a lot of people, when people talk about fertilizer manufacturing, in actual fact, they are talking about the blending. So in terms of blending, we do have 2 companies in Malawi that are already blending fertilizer, Optichem and Malawi Fertilizer. But for them to do the blending, they still have to bring the ingredients from outside the country. And then they do the blending based on the formula that people want. So the NPK, which is 23, 22, 1ZN, and so on, that is a formula that is used for most parts of the country. But for commercial farmers, they don't use the 23, 22, 1ZS, so on. They have specific formula that they go to Optichem and Malawi Fertilizer to say, can you blend this based on my soil type? So for us, we are looking for companies that can come and do the blending, manufacturing of the fertilizer, so that there can be competition and also a variety. So we have 2 companies who are already doing the manufacturing, but we are looking for more. At the moment, we are working with a company in Morocco to come and do that. And there's also another company that we should be finalizing in a few months' time to do the blending of fertilizer. So we're going to have about 4 of them. But when it comes to manufacturing, we already have 2 companies, but we want to expand. Now, the second question, which is I'm very passionate about, which is the use of organic fertilizer. The reason why in Malawi we don't produce enough. So a lot of people, we can talk about climate change, we can talk about mechanization, we can talk about crops and so on, or seed, but the fact remains that our soil is terrible. You can put as much chemical fertilizer as you want, you're still not going to produce what you need because the soil is terrible. The pH levels are very bad, acidic. The organic content in the soil is almost 0. So we spend so much money putting a lot of fertilizer in the soil, but we're still harvesting 2 or 3 tons per hectare. While our friends, they have gone up to close to 18 tons per hectare of maize. The reason is not just the use of chemical fertilizer and pesticides and herbicides and good seed. Soil health is important. They've managed to control the pH levels, put carbon back into the soil. Now, because we want to increase production in the country, what we've done is, starting from last year, even in the Affordable Input Program, we have rolled out the use of organic fertilizer. As we speak right now, 32,000 farmers are using organic fertilizer as a pilot phase as we are taking people to start fixing their soil, number 1. Number 2, we have signed, we're going to announce this officially, a contract with a company that is making organomineral fertilizer so that we can bring in so much organic fertilizer in the country and then construct or build a factory locally, organic fertilizer. 3, the Minister of Agriculture has finally reapproved the use of Mbeya fertilizer, which even someone from the village can make it, so that every farmer uses organic fertilizer in their fields to increase production. Number 4, we are providing licenses to a lot of Malawians who can make organic fertilizer. At the moment, we have a company in Liwonde, they're doing organic fertilizer. And then we also have another gentleman, Dr. I think Chikwaza, I could be wrong on the name. He's also doing organic fertilizer. They're all licensed. And so many people who are coming on the market to produce organic fertilizer, which has been approved by the Ministry of Agriculture's research department, as well as Malawi Bureau of Standards. We are bringing everyone into the market to produce and sell organic fertilizer. So our farmers, all the commercial farmers in Malawi, we're going to transition them from chemical fertilizer to organic fertilizer or organomineral fertilizers so that we have the best of two worlds. So because chemical fertilizer is good for some other things and organic fertilizer is also good for some other things, we're also trying to do another blend which has got the best of both worlds. Not only that, I'll expand that question from chemical to organic. We're also moving towards other types of fertilizers, the nano fertilizers. So we have also released the new technology of urea. It's a liquid urea, which is cheaper than chemical fertilizer, but highly effective. So we are encouraging our farmers to move towards the nano ureas. We also have nano NPK. We also have inoculants NPK and inoculant urea. All these things are geared to reduce the cost of production, make the soil healthy, and help the farmers produce more. So this month, I'm going to have a big event where we're going to release these technologies formally to the whole country for farmers to know that we are reducing the cost of production in the fertilizer part by helping you have new types of fertilizers in Malawi that don't need Forex. Some of them, they don't need Forex, but we can produce locally and make the cost of production go lower, increase yield, and start looking at import substitution and then Forex generation. So that's the step that we are moving. And I'm very happy that over the last 2 years in the Ministry of Agriculture, we've now moved in that direction to have fertilizer readily available in Malawi that is cheaper, but also with so many benefits. I'm sorry I extended the question, but I felt this was important to add for everyone to understand that there's some great things happening in the fertilizer sector in the country.
Thank you so much, Honorable. We know that it's quite a lot to consume, but I think it has been productive. Everyone should appreciate the fact that, in all efforts, even if we are outside the borders, but everything is being made to enhance the livelihood of the country, and that the country can remain self-reliant even within the 2063 vision, that in every 10 years we can reflect upon ourselves and we should move and progress. It's been a wonderful 2 hours, and we love Malawi as diasporas, and we thank you, our ministers, that you could be available to give me a brief to give us an engagement.
Mr. MC?
Yes.
I have Honorable Minister of Finance here.
Is he reconnected?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, we cut short when you were explaining. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Minister, you can proceed.
Thank you very much. So quite a couple of questions. Is my ministry aware of the implementation done by students, more especially those that are doing IT courses, community development that can be done in Malawi? I think this information is quite insightful. So as ministry, we'll make sure that we find out exactly how much are we losing out by paying external education activities that can be done locally. Because I think time has come for us to prioritize the utilization of effects because of the challenges that we currently have. So that is an eye-opening. Pamela, minerals God looking, what is it that we are doing? I did indicate that we are sanitizing the mining sector by coming up with the governance structure that will see to it that nobody plays around with our minerals. And one such institution is the Malawi Development Corporation Holdings Limited, the Mining Regulatory Authority, and the mining company. So who makes sure that it is no longer business as usual? We simply need to make use of our minerals in a way that adds value to our economy. Tabora Bond, incentivizing, I think I responded to this. My ministry, but also the central bank, are working on how we can incentivize Tabora through treasury bills or bonds so that you participate where you feel there is value for money. So very soon we'll be announcing some policies that will actually incentivize your participation on issues like treasury bills. I would like also to make mention that currently we have in draft form the RBM amendment bill that much on how we can deal with not only treasury bills and other bonds, but also FX management. Next account, Tabora depositing, I think I did indicate we successfully on PPPP, and I think Minister of Agriculture responded to this one. But I just wanted to make mention that there are opportunities now that we want to put up what we call Maguero Industrial Park. These are special economic zones where we are encouraging the team to approach. And this is an area where members of diaspora can actually invest and participate. And then somebody talked about MC 103, where people losing out to the extent that others are closing up shop. We would like to make sure that the effect that we have is given to institutions, companies, and MDAs that indeed are providing a service that require effort. So in this aspect, we don't want companies that are importing toothpicks, for example, or tomatoes to deplete our effort. Therefore, through my ministry and Reserve Bank, I think you're quite aware, we have opened up so that those that are into import and export can apply for effect. And then we look at the application, the relevance and the importance, and then they might be allocated effect. The trade in students getting their resources, some taking some months, and I think the RBM amendment bill on how we are doing effect management will create more flexibility. That's a policy that will address some of these challenges. Malawi has minerals, Tanzania has rutile, and we hear a foreign company, championing mining activities. Isn't there a room for local mining companies? Malawi Development Corporation Holdings Limited is a Malawian company, and I think is the one that is also on top notch in terms of dealing with minerals. I think Minister of would be in a position to respond to this one. Suffice to say that my ministry and Minister of Mining are responsible in coming up with what we call the Mining Development Agreement. Our intention are to see that there are increased local participation of local Malawian companies that are into mining. It doesn't make any sense that at this era and time, we experience a replica of what happened at Kawale. So what we want is to make sure that those that have got capacity and technical know-how in the mining sector should actually venture into mining activities. And Kasia Lutaya is one such an area that requires Malawian intervention. But let me conclude by saying we can turn around Malawi's economic story if we focus, as I said, on production, if we focus on trading, and indeed, if we put our policies that will help manage our economy to the extent that healing Malawi's economy, recovering from Malawi's economic crisis would be something that would be done sooner than anticipated. Thank you very much for allowing us to participate, and our apologies for a lack of network connection. And we are looking forward to future engagement. I would like also to request that those who feel that their questions haven't been addressed adequately, they can forward their questions and suggested solutions, because we are in the process of debating the budget. Who knows, maybe some of your input might be the incorporation into national budget. Thank you very much. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And once again, thank you so much, everyone that has participated and the ministers that have been available. There's lots that we have taken, and I want to thank my co-host, Dr. Sula Moyo. But before we finish, I would request the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. I hope she's still connected. Maybe she can make a remark or comment and just thank our ministers that were here before we conclude. Honorable Patricia Kainga.
She has left. Wait.
All right. Is there anyone representing her, or is anyone representing Foreign Affairs? Or any of the diplomats? If there is no such, again, I want to thank you, Honorable Simplex Chithyola, that from the budget that has been presented and with the key ministries that are here, that we've learned quite insightful things. And obviously, there are many questions that will be forwarded to the respective ministries with the areas that you've highlighted. I'll now hand it over to George to make concluding remarks.
Thank you so much, the Master of Ceremony, honorable ministers and esteemed participants. On behalf of Malawians community and organizing team, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for making today's interface a great success. To all honorable ministers, your commitment and insight during today's discussion, we are greatly appreciate. The updates you provided on finance, agriculture, trade, we are both informative and inspiring, giving the diaspora community a clear understanding of the nation's priorities and the opportunity for collaboration. To the participants, your engagement, questions, and variable contributions demonstrate the strength and dedication of the Malawi diaspora supporting our homeland's development. Your voices are crucial, and your continued involvement is deeply valued. A special thanks to our Masters of Ceremonies, our technical support team, and everyone who played a role behind the scenes. Your effort assured the event ran smoothly and efficiently. We look forward to building on the outcomes of the session and continue to work together for the betterment of Malawi. Please feel free to reach out with following up questions. I know there were so many questions that were on the chat, but we'll put them together and also forward them to the ministers. And if anything, you can also forward them to us. But we really appreciate, and I know some of the ministers that have engaged with us so many times, and you have never be tired of us. So thank you so much, all the ministers and all the participants. God bless you.
Thank you so much, George. And once again, thank you so much, everyone that participated. We started with a word of prayer, and it will be prudent that we also close with a word of prayer. I'll ask Alex if he would close with a word of prayer. Alex. Dr. Msusa, close with a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you that you are in our midst as we were discussing issues to do with the motherland. We pray that everything we've discussed today will take a root, that it will grow and bear much fruit for the betterment of our country and to the glory of your name. In Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank-
Appreciate it.